Africa, did you know that a 1 rand coin is actually worth 69 cents? But the first 1 rand coin back in 1965 was actually worth 10 rands and 38 cents. Now I say that to say this: when the value of money is being diluted, it doesn't shout, it actually whispers. Firstly, the prices of goods and services creep higher and higher. And then, out of the blue, a total explosion. And by that time, the average individual doesn't realize what is happening. Or when they do, it's actually a little bit too late. Welcome to The Money Revolution, the podcast where we empower one another to build wealth through the sharing of information and ideas about how money really works. Big shout out to our episode sponsors, Stokvel Gold, an authorized dealer in gold and silver, registered with the Financial Intelligence Center. Stokvel Gold help us with all our gold and silver purchases at the lowest prices money can get you. If you are interested in starting your own gold and silver journey, feel free to hit the link in the description below and Stokvel Gold will get in touch with you. I will once again be your host, Masijela Wamantu, and today we zoom in on how currency is being debased or diluted. History shows us that a financial system collapse always follows a specific cycle. Firstly, we experience government overspending and the debasement of currencies. Secondly, the prices of goods and services soar, living standards fall, and it is at this specific stage where real money disappears from circulation. And eventually, the last step is complete and total utter chaos. Back in episode 15, we looked at historical examples of ancient Ethiopia and Constantinople. We expanded on how each and every one of these empires started to devalue their gold and silver coins' purity. We demonstrated how in each of those specific cases, when the dilution started to happen, their coinage inflated and the prices of goods and services went high, which eventually led to civil unrest and a total collapse in their financial systems. Today, we touch on the United States of America. Up until 1965, US coins in the form of dimes, quarters, and half dollars were actually made of 90% pure silver. But then came the Coinage Act of 1965. This specific act ordered that the silver content within these coins drop from 90% to 40%. And eventually, the government cut out the silver completely and replaced it with a much cheaper metal. This was done mainly because the prices of silver were rising exponentially. Now, this meant that the silver content in those coins was actually worth more than the face value that was actually stamped on. So the government simply decided to replace what they deemed the expensive silver with a much cheaper metal. That specific year marked the start of the so-called Great Inflation. Inflation went up from a mere 1.5% in 1965 to over 20% by 1975. That is definitely not coincidental. That is what we call currency debasement in action. If you weaken the currency, there will always be high levels of inflation to confront. Let's have a look at South Africa. You will quickly realize that our story is no different, and this has been since the inception of the Republic of South Africa in 1961. The first ever 1 rand coin to be minted weighed 15 grams and was made out of pure silver. The actual metal content of that 1 rand coin was about 60 cents in terms of dollars. But just like the United States of America, when the prices of silver started to go up, the metal value of the 1 rand coin began to be higher than its face value. So the Reserve Bank decided to issue new, cheaper 1 rand coins. In 1970, the new 1 rand coin was no longer made of silver. It was actually made out of a much cheaper metal we refer to as nickel. And yes, nickel, as I've already mentioned, is much cheaper than silver. A kilogram of nickel back in 1970 was worth $7.50, whilst at that very same time period, a kilogram of silver was worth $32. The new 1970 1 rand coin had a metal value of 9 US cents. So it actually went down from 60 US cents to 9 US cents in just a period of 5 years. But it has not stopped there. The current 1 rand coin that is presently in circulation today is not even made out of nickel. It's actually now made out of copper, and it's essentially just coated with nickel just to give it that silvery look. Now today, a kilogram of copper is actually worth $10, whilst the price of nickel is worth about $15 per kilogram. Can you see how the currency, just like in ancient times, is being diluted with cheaper metals? This is a quiet form of theft, which is causing our bread, the food that we buy, your milk, and your transportation costs to become expensive each and every year. So the question is, what does all of this teach us? The story repeats itself across centuries and continents. When governments debase money, purchasing power is quietly being stolen from you and me.
Where in order to support the system, they have to continually print more money, which then leads to inflation, which then leads to monetary debasement. And this inflation has really hurt the social fabric all around, and that's why everyone's so angry and the politics are so divisive.
Prices rise, real money disappears, and most individuals only realize what is happening when it is actually too late. I tell you, Africa, stage 2 is already here. The real money is being hoarded. Lesser valued money is in circulation and it is losing its value each day at a time in a very, very slow motion. Now, Africa, I dare put this question to you. When the collapse moment actually comes, and it's actually not very far, which side will you find yourself on? Will you be holding real money, or will you be left with lesser valued money that is quietly losing its worth? Now, I wanna hear from you. Did you know that a 1 Rand coin is only worth 69 cents? What is your take on this? And were you ever aware that there is a difference between the face value and the metal value of circulation coins? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. And once again, thank you for joining us on this episode of The Money Revolution. Now, if you found anything that was discussed in this episode insightful, hit that like button and share it with someone that you care about. And to also get notified on our weekly episode uploads, hit that notification bell so that you never miss out. Let's wake up the masses. Let's understand how money really works and take back our power one conversation at a time. And remember, if it's paper, it will perish.